The more I learn about African history, the more I just want to mind my business, create, write, share what I'm learning, and just be quiet in my own little corner. Because this world is mad.
Hi lovelies, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Belinda Verse or Belly Dirt Stranad. Don't forget to please subscribe to this channel, turn on notifications so that anytime I upload videos, you will be the first person to be notified. To my returning subscribers, to those people that share my videos, leave commentaries, and educate each and every one of us, you guys are the real MVP. So lovelies, I'm gonna be your today's host, and I have so many statistics to put up here, and we're gonna come out to talk about it. Alright lovelies, let's dive into today's video.
Y'all, listen, I'm a nerd. So randomly something told me, Talia, look up Liberia, look up Liberia. I don't know why, it just came to my head, so I did. You guys, if you're African American, look up Liberia and the history of Liberia. I honestly feel like Liberians and African Americans should be a lot closer. But because there's some lack of information and misinformation between us, we're not. But I truly feel like we should be, look it up. You'll see what I'm talking about.
Indigeneity and land heritage is not the same thing. Having history to a land and having heritage to a land is not the same thing as being indigenous to the land. This is a video about Liberia. Liberia is a settler colonial state that was set up by the American government. They called it the American Colonization Society. They sent free black people and Afro-Caribbeans there in the 1820s. You see what I'm saying? About 40 years before the Civil War even broke out. These individuals were displacing indigenous Liberians. Liberia's first inhabitants were ancestors of the Gola and the Kissi people from North Central Africa who arrived as early as the 12th century. They were joined by the Quran people, Kru, Kawa, Bassa, Kran, Dele ethnic groups moving from the north to the east. As an individual with a master's degree in human relations, I can tell you the theme that is consistent throughout human history is migration. Let me ask y'all a question. If the free blacks can prove that they came from the land before the Gola and Kissi people migrated there, does this justify the displacement of the Kissi and Gola people? Does it? No, right? You know, when you look at Liberian history, you see that the Americo-Liberians was so lost in the sauce of Western ideology, they literally excluded the natives from being able to, be a part of government, in many instances being able to hold land, and in many instances being able to even have any type of influence in the area that they was there before. You see what I'm saying? In the name of consistency, settler colonialism is bad in every instance. I don't give a damn who the settler is. Free Palestine until it is backwards. You feel me?
America had a plan for free black people after slavery, but it wasn't equality. It wasn't land, it wasn't reparations, it wasn't justice. No, their solution was simple. Get rid of us. Pack us up, ship us off, and make us someone else's problem. That's how Liberia was born. Not as a country, but America's way of saying, you don't belong here. In 1822, the U.S. helped set up Liberia, a colony in West Africa, and started sending freed black Americans there. They called it repatriation. But let's be real, how do you return to a place that you've never been? Our ancestors have been stolen from all over Africa centuries earlier, and now America wanted to pretend like it was doing us a favor by dumping us back? Some black families went hoping for a better life. Others, they were pressured, lied to, or given no real choice. And once they got there, it was a setup from the start. The black Americans who moved there were called American-Liberians, and they were put in charge. They built a society modeled after the U.S., but instead of breaking the cycle of oppression, they repeated it. The indigenous Africans who had lived there for generations, they were treated like outsiders in their own land. But of course, America didn't care what happened next. They just wanted us gone. And when Liberia's deep divisions led to instability, war, and chaos, the U.S. walked away like it had nothing to do with it. Liberia was never about giving us a home. It was about making sure that we truly never had one. And that's the thing about this country. It spent centuries trying to figure out where black people belong, while never once asking us. But here's what they never understood. Home isn't about something that they give us. It's something that we build for ourselves. And no matter where we are, no matter what they take, we always will. Only the strong survive.
I saw a video of this Liberian lady basically saying how other people from West African countries are always saying how Liberians either always try to act like Black Americans or react like Black Americans or whatever the case may be, or want to be Black American. And then she brings up free slaves. And I'm like, well, hell yeah. Like, why the fuck motherfuckers always be ignored by the free slaves? We have such a huge Black American influence because we basically the descendants of the free slaves that came to Liberia after slavery. And I won't be surprised if a lot of Black Americans during that time period came back to America, because I'm telling you right now, Louisiana gumbo reminds me of pepper soup and rice. And they put okra in it and shit. That reminds me of pepper soup and rice. Liberian pepper soup and rice specifically. And also, people in Louisiana, like, slightly have, like, a Liberian accent. Like, I feel like Liberians and people in Louisiana, I don't know, it's a certain accent we sound alike. Like, people ignore that slaves came over there because we were the land of the free. Because we were the free people that didn't partake in the Crusades and in slavery. And we didn't trade our people for slavery. Like, motherfuckers don't want to bring up the simple fact that Ghana Empire, Nigeria Empire, Benin Empire, Congo's Empire, Central Africa Empire was all doing business and selling their own people into the transatlantic slave trade. What other countries? Senegal, Angola, a lot. So a lot of those countries speak French or French-speaking countries or have such a huge European influence because of that. And we don't have that because we weren't partaking in that bullshit. The same with the Ethiopians. That's why the Ethiopians are so different up there too. Dancing with their shoulders and whatnot. They said the Ethiopians is like back in 2007 right now. Like, they're not even on the same years we is. You know what I'm saying? And me personally, I know for a fact we wouldn't partake in the Crusades because my grandmom died in her 90s, right? And my grandmom didn't know shit about Jesus Christ or Prophet Muhammad. Like, people in Liberia was still doing supernatural, spiritual shit. Like, they weren't that fully connected. Bring up history and how we didn't partake in slavery and how we actually helped. Even though it backfired on us because Black Americans started coming to Africa and started treating us like slaves, you know what I'm saying? But that's a different story for a different time. Black Americans started coming in and becoming presidents of everything. And the crazy thing with that, right, is that once the Black Americans and the Liberians started getting along, Liberia started getting good. They started calling it Little America. Then out of nowhere, a war starts. Now it's black on black crime again. Now the whole country chakla. But all I'm saying is that when you guys bring that up. Bring up the actual history behind it all. Because I feel like a lot of you other West African countries actually don't know the actual history behind Liberia. And that's why you guys are just so lost when you guys say it. But it's like, it's a literal fucking duh.
I honestly feel like Liberians and African Americans should be.
As an African American who's studied Liberia, Liberia is home. Every African American should have a connection to Liberia. Not only do Liberians have blood ties with us, we have blood ties with them. A prime example is me. I'm from South Carolina. I'm Gullah Geechee. The words Gullah Geechee come from Angola, but also the Gola people of Liberia. And the word Geechee possibly comes from the word Kisi, which is an ethnic group in Liberia. In fact, did you know that 18%, nearly 1 out of every 5 African slaves that came to the Gullah Geechee Low Country area came from the Windward Coast where Liberia is? The reason why they chose them was they were skilled with rice. And what is one thing that Liberians love to eat? Rice. Did you know that about nearly 1 out of every 3 African American immigrants to Liberia came from the same Low Country area? 3 of the top 4 states where the most immigrants from the United States came from were Georgia at number 2, North Carolina at number 3, and South Carolina at number 4.
Matter of fact, in the Charleston Low Country area, Liberian Independence Day used to be celebrated as early as the Reconstruction era, after the Civil War. Outside of blood ties, what Liberia was able to accomplish should make every African American, Liberian, and those in the diaspora proud. Not only are we the first republic in Africa, we are the first African country to abolish slavery from the beginning. From the time Liberia was established, slavery was outlawed in the territory. This was reinforced in the Liberian Constitution, which said there shall be no slavery. Liberia snuffed out the remaining slave trade in the Windward Coast under President Roberts and Stephen Allen Benson. You had people like Sekou Touré and Kwame Nkrumah, and Nigeria's first president looked to Liberia for inspiration. In fact, Sekou Touré's grandfather, Samori Touré, looked to Liberia to arm them when they were fighting the French against colonialism. You had indigenous people fight against the French and the British so that they could be Liberia. And this is what they will not teach you. African Americans and Liberians should be proud of our country.
All my black Americans, how y'all doing this morning? Hey y'all. Come to the front, come to the front, come to the front. All my Liberian people, y'all hello. Y'all come to the front too. Y'all can't sit down here because we all need to talk. Listen. Tewa, Tamika, y'all are the same people. African, Liberians, I'm going to say. I'm not going to say any other Africans because I don't know about nothing other than Liberia. Black Americans, y'all have a rich history in Liberia. If it wasn't for y'all, Elijah Johnson, a free slave, trying to make a better way for free black slaves in America, Liberia wouldn't be called Liberia. Liberia is literally called Liberia because you guys, when you were free, you came over and you colonized that nation. And that's why it's called Liberia, meaning liberty. For all of our black ass freedom. But when y'all niggas came over there, y'all acted just like niggas. Y'all took over, not realizing that there were still people there that's been there for years and years and years and years to come. So they decided to colonize Liberia. A bunch of people still lived in Liberia. It wasn't named Liberia, but it was still an uncolonized location. No one ever came and said, this is our place or nothing like that. So my people, you see people, we were already there. We were already there. We were already chilling. We were already doing our thing. Miupa, my grandfather's name is Tamba Taylor. If you don't know who Tamba Taylor is, he's the oldest living African, I want to say Liberian man. And he was a publicist. When I say he ruled towns, he was the chief. He brought everything together. He brought everything together. He brought everybody together. He was a diplomat. So my peoples was already there. Right? So when Elijah Johnson and them got there, everything was straight for 150 years. Everything was straight for 150 years. Right? Elijah Johnson's son became the first president. Right? The first known president of Liberia is a descendant of a black American. Ain't that some tea? I need y'all to understand. I need y'all to walk with me. Okay? Now, here it is, 150 years later. Liberia was the travel spot. See how people go to Dubai, Nigeria, and all them places? That was Liberia. But guess what? Y'all niggas still wasn't treating Africans right. I don't want history to repeat itself. Because what Americans did was black Americans went over there with the same mentality that their slave owners had with them. Treating the natives
the same way that the slave owners was treating y'all. Ain't that the case right now? Why these Africans over here? These Africans, we do this. We just doing so much. Nigga, you African too. Fuck is we talking about? What are we talking about? Is your last name Johnson? Is your last name Smith? Is your last name Taylor? Robertson? I mean, bring your asses to the front. Bring your asses to the front. So yeah, boom. We wasn't having it no more. After 150 years of being treated like shit, when we were the original people that was there and you niggas came over there and tried to take over, we was not having it. Yeah. So Sam did what he had to do. Hey, he went in that man's office, blew his top off. That's what happened. But that is a crazy part of history that I feel like we keep fucking repeating. Africans, I'm gonna go to Liberians because I'm not, I don't know nothing about South Africa. I don't know nothing about none of that. What I do know is that my Liberians, sometimes y'all be on some weird shit with the American people, Black Americans, and Black Americans, y'all be on some weird shit with the Liberians. Now, I can't really say with the Liberians because y'all over here eating cassava leaves, jollof rice, and palm butter and all that shit. So then why are you not trying to figure out if this your fucking cousin or not? Because you don't know the history, or either you don't know the history. That's what happened. But that is a crazy part of history that I feel like we keep fucking repeating. Africans, I'm gonna go to Liberians because I'm not, I don't know nothing about South Africa. I don't know nothing about none of that. What I do know is that my Liberians, sometimes y'all be on some weird shit with the American people, Black Americans, and Black Americans, y'all be on some weird shit with the Liberians. Now, I can't really say with the Liberians because y'all over here eating cassava leaves, jollof rice, and palm butter and all that shit. So then why are you not trying to figure out if this your fucking cousin or not? Because you don't know the history. Or either you don't know the history or you don't give a fuck. My TikTok is only for real ass people because I am cussing my Oma name, my mom name, my pa name. Please, leave me. This the new generation. I ain't got time for all that talking, plenty, thing. My whole goal for making this video is for Black Americans and Liberians to understand y'all are the same motherfuckers. Y'all are the same, and the crazy thing is, y'all do the same shit. Taking people money when it comes to y'all businesses, not giving good service. Both Liberians and Black Americans. Okay? Heavy on fighting over men. Y'all like to fight for men business too by Liberian people. So do American women. They gonna beat your ass over there, man. Okay? So I want all this hate shit to stop. I really just want Liberians and Black Americans to understand y'all are the same people. Yeah. Because I get it even when I go into the Oman shop. I gotta put on my hittah. I put on my hittah. I put on my accent. I make sure they know, oh yeah, you get how you doing, I'm Liberian. Just so I can get good treatment. So I can only imagine when the Black Americans go in there, can I get some cassava leaf? Bro, stop. Like, seriously, stop. We need to be celebrating July 26th together. For real. We need to be celebrating July 26th together. If y'all want more information about Liberia, please, by all means, Google, ChatGPT. All you gotta do is put in fucking Liberia, and you gonna see we are one and the same. That goes for Liberians, go for Black Americans. I'm tired of this shit. I'm tired of this divide. I'm tired of one thinking they better than the other and vice versa. My Liberian people, please, bye. Please, get a people a chance now. The same way they had systemic racism here is the same way we didn't have systemic racism, but at the end of the day, we had a lot of shit going on in Liberia to the point where I was in a refugee camp. Raise your hand if you ever been in a refugee camp. Do y'all even know what the fuck a refugee camp is? Y'all see that shit on TV. No, nigga. Moving from place to place. 5, 6 years old. Bullets flying over your motherfucking head. Nephew dying right next to you. I know I was laughing, but this shit is not fun and games. The same thing that tore Liberia the fuck apart was Black Americans and Liberians. Tore a nation apart. Tore a nation apart. Tore people apart. Tore families apart. Hey, all I'm saying is we the same motherfuckers. I want to see the comments. I want to see what my Liberian people saying. I want to see what my American people saying, because at the end of the day, we are the same people. Get into it. Do your fucking research. Stop being so hype about the Nigerian culture. Stop being hype about South Africa. Stop being hype about Ghana. Granted, yes, Ghana is West African, is in West Africa. But if you really truly want to know who the fuck you are, Google Liberia. Figure out if your family actually went back. Figure out what tribe you are. Because there's a bunch of tribes that was not there previously. There's a bunch of Liberian people right now that you should be hanging out with Tamika, because Tamika is actually your cousin. On some real shit. I'm done on my 10-minute rant. All right, goodbye.
America had a plan for free black people after slavery, but it wasn't justice, it wasn't equality, and it definitely wasn't freedom. Their plan was to exile. See, after the abolition of slavery started gaining momentum in the 80s, white America had a problem it didn't want to admit. The problem wasn't slavery, it was free black people. Because once the chains were gone, free black men and women stood as living proof of everything this country claimed to believe in, but refused to practice. So the question became, what do we do with them? And their answer was simple: get rid of them. In the 1816s, a group of wealthy white elites, politicians, and even some so-called philanthropists came together to form what they call the American Colonization Society, or the ACS. Their mission: to repatriate free black Americans back to Africa. But let's be real, how can you return to a place you have never been? Our ancestors had been taken from across West and Central Africa centuries earlier. Yoruba, Igbo, Mede, Kungo, Mandinka, and countless others. After generations of enslavement in America, stripped of language, culture, and home, they were no longer Africans in the sense that America imagined. But to white America, we would never be Americans either. So Liberia was born not out of love but conveniency. The first settlers landed on the grain coast of West Africa in the 1822 on territory that the ACS had negotiated and in some cases forced from local chiefs. They call it a colonia for free blacks, but it was run, funded, and supervised by white Americans, and that is where the story gets complicated. Because when black Americans actually believed in the promise, they thought maybe this is a chance to build something new, to escape the violence and racism of America, to create a self-governed black nation on African soil. A few were inspired by faiths, missionaries, and ministers who dreamed of spreading Christianity in America. Others were simple desperate, facing discrimination, joblessness, and the laws that restricted their freedom in America. They took the offer. But what they didn't know was that they were walking into another system of control. Once in Liberia, the settlers who later came to be known as Americo-Liberians were positioned at the top of a new heritage. They were given power, land, and authority over the indigenous Africans who had lived there for centuries. Groups like the Gola, Kisi, Bassa, Kru, and Va already had rich societies, trade networks, and governance systems long before a ship ever touched their shores. But suddenly they were labeled as natives, outsiders in their own homeland. The settlers brought with them American costumes, Western dress, English education, and Christianity. They built churches that looked like the ones in the Virginia, schools that copied American curriculums, and even homes modeled after Southern plantations. They created a constitution that mirrored the United States, and yet they repeated the same injustice they fled from. By the mid-80s, Liberia was not a land of liberation, it was a mirror of America, a black elite ruling over an indigenous majority. And this is where the story turns strategic. The American-Liberian class saw themselves as civilians and the natives as helting. They believed it was their mission to uplift the indigenous people through religious, culture, and politics, but only on their terms. They banned traditional spiritual practices. They took over land. They forced local tribes to pay taxes to a government they never consented to, and when resistance came, it was crushed. For nearly 130 years, from 1922 to the late 90s, the American-Liberians dominated Liberia's politics, economy, and identity. The country's flag looked like Americans. Its capital was named Monrovia after US President James Monroe, and its first president, Joseph Jenkins Roberts, was an American-Liberian born in Virginia. It was the illusion of independence, a black republic with a white blueprint, but as history shows, oppression doesn't disappear when the faces of power change. It just wear a different marks. Let's talk about the indigenous struggle. For the native liberals, the Gola, Kro, Girebon, and others, the new order meant exclusion from political power. They couldn't vote, they couldn't own a land in the settlers' territories, they couldn't hold key government positions. Even when Liberia declared independence in 1847, it was only independence for few, not for the people who had lived there for generations. And what is worse, the US government, the same government that created the project, eventually abandoned it. America used Liberia as a moral shield. See, they could say we gave them a place to go, and once that native narrative served its purpose, they left Liberia to deal with the consequences. Liberia's internal division grew deeper. Economic inequality between settlers and natives created resentment. Cultural arrogancy created alienation, and by the 20th century, the country stood on a foundation ready to crack. Then came to the Samuel Doe era, the Charles Taylor War, and the decades of instability. They were not accidents, they were symptoms of a nation built on two unequal beginnings, one born from displacement, the other from exclusion, and both haunted by the shadow of colonial logic. That some people are more civilized, more deserving, or more fit to rule than others. Now, here is the part America doesn't want to talk about. Liberia wasn't just a historical experiment, it was a political strategy. It was Americans' way of avoiding a reckoning instead of confronting the question, what do we own the people we enslaved? They found a way to ship that question across the ocean. No land, no repatriation, no justice, just relocation. A symbolic gesture wrapped in hypocrisy, because if you think about it, Liberia was never about giving us a home. It was about making sure we didn't have one there. And yet, the irony is that the Liberia story still matters today, not because of its pain, but because of what it reveals about our shared humanity. Let's talk about what this means for Africa, Americans, and Liberians today. There's a deep emotional disconnect between us, the descendants of those who were sent and those who were already there. Centuries of distance, trauma, and misinformation have made us strangers to one another, but we shouldn't be. Libra is insane, a mirror of every diaspora story. It's about disconnection and reunion, exile and return, identity and belonging. It forces us to ask, what does it really mean to be from or somewhere? Is it blood? Is it land? Is it memory? Because indigenously and heritage are not the same. Having history to a land isn't the same as being indigenous to it. Migration has always been part of human history, but power decides whose immigration becomes colonization and whose becomes survival. So when we talk about liberals as a settler state, we must be consistent. Settler colonialism is wrong in every form, whether the settler are white, black, or anyone else. Liberians deserve truth and healing. And African Americans deserve to understand that our liberation can't come from repeating the systems that once oppressed us. Let's be honest. The more we learn about African history, the humbling it becomes, because it's not a clean story, it's not a good versus our device. It is not good versus evil. It's people surviving, adapting, fighting, sometimes oppressing, sometimes being oppressed. That is human history. But the beautiful part is this: every generation gets a chance to rewrite it. Liberals today are reclaiming their identity. They are honoring indigenous cultures, languages, and lineage that were once silenced. Young African Americans are rediscovering their connection to Africa, not through the lens of colonial guilt, but through curiosity, respect, and solidarity. We are finally starting to talk to each other again through music, through content, through travel, through history, and that is what scales the world the most. Black people reconnecting across borders, because when we do, the narrative shifts from where do we belong to where we belong everywhere we build. Libra's story just isn't just about the past, it's about what happens when we let others define where we belong, and it's about reclaiming that right for ourselves. So, to my African American brothers and sisters, Libra is just some distant story. It's a reflection of us, it's a lesson in what happens when freedom is offered without equality and home is promised without justice. And to my Liberian brothers and sisters, you are not just the footnote of American history. You are the mirror of its contradictions and the proof of its unfinished work. Because despite everything, the pain, the exile, the wars, you are still here, still standing, still building. Home isn't something they give us, it's something we build for ourselves, and no matter where we are, no matter what they take, we always will. Only the strong survive, and we as a people are living proof.
And if you watch up to this extent, don't forget to please leave me your own thought in the comment section of what you think of this video. And please do not forget that we do not support any form of bullying and harassment. We are just here for educational and informative purposes. So lovelies, why not just share your thought? Subscribe to this channel if you're yet to do that, and I will see you lovelies when I upload the next one.